And we are live. Welcome back to Takes by Fans. We have a great show for you today. As always, we are live every single day at noon Eastern. Now, if you want to watch live, head over to twitch.tv/Takes by Fans. If you want to watch but not live, head over to our YouTube channel, Takes by Fans. We post all of our shows and clips of the show there on a daily basis. And then if you just want to listen, we've got you covered on podcasting apps, folks. Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. However you want to watch or listen, we've got you covered multiple ways. Alrighty, today is a big old Monday coming off of a big old super wild card weekend, baby. I mean, the Saturday games, the Sunday games. What do we got? I mean, the Browns last night, holy moly, fantastic. Great job by the Browns just to absolutely run all over and crush and dominate from the first quarter to the fourth quarter against the Steelers. Mitch Trubisky played like Mitch Trubisky and put up 3 points. Congratulations. Lamar Jackson gets his revenge from last season. Finally, John Harbaugh was focusing on Lamar Jackson, or focusing on Derrick Henry. That's what you're supposed to do when you face the Titans. Phillip Rivers played a little bit better than I thought he would, so great job to that man. What were the other games? Oh, Tom Brady and versus Chase Young. I mean, Chase Young didn't really get to Tom Brady, but Tom Brady gets the win there. And then the last game, I'm missing. What do we got? What was the last game? There it is, Rams, Seahawks. Oh, my goodness. Seahawks offense flounders again. So, unfortunate for Russell Wilson. He is now out of the playoffs. So, we'll be breaking down all those games today. And, yeah, we'll go from there. And then we'll also do our moneymaker for the national championship game today. Ohio State, Alabama. We'll see who wins. We'll see what the line is. I think it opened at Ohio State plus 7.5, so we'll see if the line is still that, and we'll give you our moneymaker for that at the end of the show. But before we get into all that, we've got to cover our daily story, so here we go. Browns get all clear in their latest round of COVID-19 testing. Fantastic. You know, no Kevin Stefanski and a couple of other coaches, but in the grand scheme of things, it didn't matter. Maybe they should have Kevin Stefanski not be the head coach for the Browns next week because of how well the game went this week. So, Browns all good. No more COVID outbreak, hopefully, in the Browns facility. Hopefully, everybody's good to go for next week's game. Alrighty, Bucks getting a little bit healthier as well. They activated linebacker Devin White and defensive tackle Steve McLendon from the COVID-19 list. So Bucks defense once again getting a little bit better, and they're definitely going to need that because they're facing the Saints next week. Big time matchup, Tom Brady versus Drew Brees, round 3. I think Drew Brees got both of them, doesn't he? I think the Saints won both those matchups. So Bucks defense definitely going to have to, definitely shore up whatever they did because, we saw Taylor Heineke do very, very well this week. So Bucks defense getting better. He's got Drew Brees coming in, or they have to go into Drew Brees' town. So we'll see how that holds up. Alrighty, in the Rams, holy cow, they are just battling injury and adversity. They won the game last week, and here we go. John Walford, we all saw him get knocked out of the game, I think, on the first drive. Sean McVay says it's just a stinger, and he'll be day-to-day. We'll see how that works. Aaron Donald has a rib injury, but Sean McVay is thinking that he's going to definitely be good to go. And then wide receiver Cooper Kupp got injured, really at the last drive when he probably shouldn't even have been in, and he gets injured there. McVay says it's a bursats. I don't even know what the heck this is, but bursats on his knee, and quote, the hope is to have him ready to go. So Rams kind of falling apart a little bit while everybody else is getting healthier, getting players off of the COVID list. Rams are still like, damn, we've still got some banged up pieces over here. So we'll see what's up with these people throughout the week. Keep an eye on them. Alrighty, and oh my goodness, is this an end of an era? Is Big Ben done? Big Ben, Juju, Schuster, and Marquis Brown photographed after the game, sitting on the bench. Not looking good, looking a little sad. Big Ben, he did not look good out there at all. I mean, he couldn't move. His arm wasn't good. I mean, I think it's the end of him, unfortunately. Now, if you want to look for a silver lining, he got to the playoffs, and his last pass was a touchdown and then a 2-point conversion pass. So, I mean, he's going to go out on a high note if he chooses to retire. And I also believe that if he plays next year, if the Steelers still have him, he's getting paid $41 million. So, Big Ben, he's probably going to play next season because he wants that 41 mil. Steelers probably don't want to give him the 41 mil. He's not worth 41 mil, I'll tell you that right now. I mean, did you watch him all game? He couldn't move around in the pocket. He couldn't, air out the ball down the field. He was inaccurate on most of the passes. That's why they had like 4 turnovers in the first half of this game. So it's truly unfortunate. Big Ben, I was kind of rooting for him. I wanted to see him, ride off into the sunset, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen because he just got beat in the first round of the playoffs after starting 11-0 against the Cleveland Browns, who haven't won a playoff game in 25 years. Not a great look for him. He didn't look good. Nobody looked good in this game, truthfully, unfortunately, except the Browns. They all looked very good. But we'll see what happens with Big Ben in this offseason, but I think he hangs it up. Alrighty, here we go. A little coaching news. Dan Quinn, he spent Saturday interviewing for the Cowboys defensive coordinator job. Now, Dan Quinn, not a good head coach. Now, is he a good defensive coordinator? Yeah, probably. I mean, you don't get a head coaching job if you didn't come from somewhere. So that's Dan Quinn's background, defense. So, I got no problem with him going to the Cowboys. Now, the only real problem is, do you really want Dan Quinn and Mike McCarthy on the same squad? I mean, Mike McCarthy can't coach, and Dan Quinn really couldn't be a head coach either, and blowing leads, both of them did that. Bad defenses, both of them really had that. In Atlanta for Dan Quinn, and Cowboys, they just fired all their defensive coaches because they were that bad in the beginning of the season. I thought they cleaned it up at the end, but we'll see how it works out here for Dan Quinn if he gets the job. I mean, this is just the interview, but Dan Quinn, I'd like to see him getting out somewhere else. Not a head coach, that man. I mean, you're blowing leads. That comes down to coaching and leadership. Dan Quinn, unfortunately, can't do that for an entire team. He could do that for the defense, but not a head coach. Alrighty, and then our last story, and this is the funniest thing you will ever see in sports. I think this is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. So if you noticed on the weekend that there was 2 games that were simulcast on Nickelodeon. They had different commentators. They were getting slimed on the field through the graphics. Every time somebody got a touchdown, there would be slime on the field. Sean Payton actually got slimed on camera after the game. I guess he made a promise to Nickelodeon or something that he would get slimed if he won the game, and they won the game very comfortably. I mean, Mitch Trubisky didn't do anything, but Nickelodeon, for this Saints-Bears game, they had an award called the MVP, which is the Nickelodeon Valuable Player Award. So, basically just like an MVP, but Nickelodeon style. So, throughout the game, they were having the voting, and the top 3 vote getters, I don't get. I didn't watch the simulcast, but I saw this, throughout Twitter throughout the night because it was very funny. It was very entertaining to see all the memes up here. But this was the MVP voting. Mitch Trubisky number 1 at 37%. Y'all voted Mitch Trubisky for an award? Why? I don't know who the broadcasters or who the commentators were over there on Nickelodeon, but why were you propagating Mitchell Trubisky to like a young audience? That's not gonna how you get viewers to watch sports and watching bad quarterback play. You want the kids to be watching bad quarterback play? I don't get it. So the fans over there at Nickelodeon, they voted Mitchell Trubisky for the MVP. He put up 3 points. I'm not counting that touchdown late in the game. I don't care about that. It came in garbage time, and it doesn't matter. And I'm sure, I actually think it was a little bit of a fixed game that Nickelodeon, hit up Roger Goodell. He was like, "Hey, we got this award, and Mitch Trubisky doesn't have a passing touchdown yet. You think you can get him one, in garbage time?" And I think, they gave him a free 7 because he needed to get a touchdown for the MVP for some reason. So everybody votes him the MVP. And then you got this kid presenting the award, and he messes up Mitch Trubisky's name. First, he calls him Mike Trubisky, and then he corrects it to Mitch Trubisky. So, very funny there. And then he's like, also, he may not have won the game, but he's got this nice award right here. And yes, this is what Mitch Trubisky wants. He wants to lose a playoff game, but get the MVP award, a made-up award that's never happened ever. That means absolutely nothing because we just saw who won it. So, next year, whoever wins the MVP, it will mean this award is worthless. It's worthless. They gave it to a quarterback of the losing team who put up 3 points and couldn't even pass for 200 yards. All right, if that's what Nickelodeon's pushing, I don't know, but we don't like Mitch Trubisky, and I will only call him Mitch Trubisky for the rest of his career. Congratulations on the MVP. Everybody give this man a round of applause. Mitch Trubisky, he did it, folks. He did it. He's got the coveted MVP award. He doesn't want the MVP. He doesn't want to go deep in the playoffs. He's looking for that Nickelodeon Slime Award, folks. So, Mitch Trubisky, folks, give it up for him. Give it up for Mitch Trubisky. I cannot believe this. I cannot believe this. Drew Brees doesn't get a vote. Drew Brees doesn't get more than 15% of the vote. Why did they only give it to the Bears players? The top 3 were Mitch Trubisky, Akeem Hicks, and Khalil Mack. What? No Taysom Hill, no Alvin Kamara, no Michael Thomas, no Emmanuel Sanders, no Jared Cook, no Drew Brees? I would give it to Sean Payton. Give Sean Payton the MVP award. Oh my goodness, they give it to I don't know what's happening in this world, folks. I don't know. Alrighty, that's all the news we had to talk about today, folks. That's it. The MVP, Mitchell Trubisky. Congrats. Congrats. Alrighty, now let's quickly, we'll spend most of the show on this, but we are going to go out and, recap all these games, kind of do our base work of what we do still, in the regular season, breaking down all the games on Monday to get us ready for next week. I mean, we still got playoffs next week, folks, so going to still kind of do the same rhythm, same format of this week, even though, it's wild card, there's less teams to talk about. We'll still kind of try to fit it in our normal schedule where we break it down everything on Monday. Tuesday, probably not going to do a cash and trash list and power rankings, probably switch that up a little bit. We're not going to be talking about teams that we don't need to talk about anymore. We're just focused on teams that are in. So I think we're going to kind of spend this week just kind of breaking down a lot of film. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. Not 100% sure on the format of the show for this week, but we'll still be here. We'll still be here. So here we go. Let's do this. Here we go. First game, we got to go all the way back to Saturday at 1 o'clock for the Bills and the Colts. And I know I'll say it right off the rip, Phillip Rivers played a little bit better than I thought. I didn't think they would put up 24 points. Now, the game, so let's talk about our picks and our bad and all of that so we can kind of defend that a little bit. We took Bills minus 6.5. We thought it was perfect. And this game was kind of Bills minus 6.5 for really, the back half of this game. They got up, 24-10, perfect going into the fourth quarter. And then the Bills defense just kind of struggled a little bit on the run, on the ground game to kind of cover it up. So let's talk about the Colts real quick. Phillip Rivers, 27 of 46 for 309 yards, 2 touchdowns and no picks. So very well done to Phillip Rivers for not turning the ball over. I thought it was going to come. I was waiting for it. I was watching this game all day, and I was waiting for this pick to come because, that's what we've been saying. These last 2 weeks, week 16 and week 17, throwing interceptions in the second half of games lazily. I thought it would carry over in this game. It didn't. So congratulations. We can kind of, praise Phillip Rivers for not turning the ball over a little bit. Alrighty, the running backs for the Colts, and this is where the Bills struggled just a tad, and you really won't see it in the stats, but here it is. Jonathan Taylor, 21 carries for 78 yards, he had a touchdown, and Nyheim Hines, 6 carries for 75 yards. So, running back by committee got it done, over 150 yards, that's exactly what you want. They ran the ball like 27 times with running backs, you love to see that as well. Keeping up the running game, we saw Frank Reich do it last week, and he kind of carried it over to this week, 27 rushes, it's fantastic. So the Bills didn't get gashed for big yard. I mean, they got gashed down the stretch for like big yards, like chunk plays, like 10, 15, 20 yards. That's what they were giving up. on these last two drives. So Bills defense really kind of floundered in the fourth quarter because, I mean, realistically, this is a 24-10 game, folks. I mean, 14-point win there basically for the Bills. The Colts go down. They get this touchdown. They miss the extra point. Now it's 8. Now it's 8. But look at this drive here in the fourth quarter. 29-yard run, 20-yard run. That sets up, some easy passes, 11-yard pass, 6-yard pass. And just like that, they score a touchdown because of those running backs. And now look at this last touchdown that they scored in the Colts in the fourth quarter. 3-yard run, 13-yard pass, and then the 33-yard run. And then, then it's Phillip Rivers for 27 yards. The run sets up the pass. So the Bills just gave up a couple of big chunk yards in the fourth quarter, which is something that we definitely have to keep an eye on. Is it super concerning? No, not super concerning. It's a little concerning because you don't want to, play your worst defense in the fourth quarter because, you'll lose games because of that. So Colts didn't do anything great, or really, they didn't do anything like fantastic throughout the game. Neither did really the Bills, but Josh Allen was really on point. But it was, Phillip Rivers, a little bit of dink and dunk, and he was really capitalizing on those big run plays in the fourth quarter that really gave him, a ton of yards here. So Colts, a little bit better than I expected that they would. Phillip Rivers not turning it over, it was a huge plus for him. But still, when it comes down to it in the fourth quarter, when they still have a chance, I mean, it was a 3-point game with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. He gets bailed out on a non-fumble call that was clearly a fumble. Can we talk about this real quick? We've got it queued up. I mean, folks, what is this? This is 4th and 10, and this is a fumble, and this is clear fumble. He's off the ground, folks. Come on. So I don't know what the refs were doing here. This should have been, not even as close as it even kind of seemed. It should have been over at this point. They called this a completed catch, down by contact, and no fumble. But folks, this is the first frame that he's touched in. And everybody's saying, oh, his shin's down. You can't really tell if his shin's down. No, you can tell. His shin's not down at all. It's not even close to being down. You can literally see all the green. You can see the white line. Is any part of his body touching that? You can't see it right here because his leg's blocking it, but if his knee's not touching, his shin is clearly not touching. What part of his shin is touching? So I really don't get the call here. It was kind of a blunder call that really almost cost the Bills the win because that's a ton of momentum to get that. Now they're almost in field goal range. But we have to talk about the play calling for this Colts team because Frank Reich was not very good here. So they get it all the way down to the 47-yard line, and then Phillip Rivers can't come up clutch. I mean, look at this. Where's the replay? So after the replay, they give him the 17-yard pass. The next 4 plays are -1 yard rush, -1 yard pass. So Phillip Rivers, not a good decision there. Pass incomplete, turnover on downs, pass incomplete. So Phillip Rivers just can't be clutch. We know this, and the Bills win by 3 because of it. But I still like the -6.5 for the Bills. It's just a couple of big plays that the Bills just could not cover in the fourth quarter that really gashed them. So the big runs, 20, 25 yards, and then you got Jack Doyle wide open for a touchdown. What is that about, too? So Bills were the better team throughout the entire game. Colts kind of caught some luck in the fourth quarter with some big plays, but Phillip Rivers can't get it done at the end of the day. So that's how this game kind of played out. Also, going forward on 4th and 1, not taking the 3 points, going for the 2-point conversions, not getting it. Frank Reich, I mean, you're on the road with Phillip Rivers, who hasn't really shown anything consistent of putting up points in the second half of games, and he's just kind of throwing away points in the first half. It didn't make any sense to me. You have to take points whenever you can get them. They're hard to come by, as we kind of saw this week in the playoffs. I mean, we saw, the Seahawks and Rams struggle offensively for the most part. We saw some teams. We saw the Steelers really struggle offensively for the most part. I mean, yes, they made it decently competitive, but they made it decently competitive when they were already down 28-0. Like at that point, is it just the defense? You're just backing off and you just getting free stuff, free points, free drives, free yards? Yeah, most likely. So got to take points when you can get them, and Frank Reich did not do that here, and it cost him at the end of the day. He gave up so many free points, and they lose by 3, 1 possession, field goal. I mean, come on. All right, now let's talk about Buffalo because they played very good. Josh Allen played good. I don't care what anybody says. He did fumble, but he didn't lose it. So, hey, we give the man credit. So Josh Allen went 26 of 35 for 304 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Very, very well done by the man. And he was just throwing some absolute beautiful darts, some absolute beautiful passes. What's the one to Stefan Diggs? Here it is. Nope. Right here. Hang on, where is it? Here it is. 35-yard pass to Stefan Diggs. This is one of the most beautiful passes I've seen Josh Allen make. Let's quickly watch it right here. I mean, folks, look at this. Literally just a rainbow. Perfectly drops into this man. This is the point where the game was over. 24-10, start of the fourth quarter. You can see it here beautifully. Let's watch this one more time. And he's going through all his reads. And I mean, folks, you can't get a better pass than this. It's so beautiful. Josh Allen, he's the best quarterback in the league, folks. I don't know how many more times we have to see this pass and this play, but he can air it out. He's so precise. He doesn't make the mistakes. He doesn't turn the ball over, and he played absolutely perfect here against the Colts. We could talk about the play calling here for the Bills a little bit. Because Josh Allen, he was the leading rusher, and I do not like that at all. I still kind of thought that Sean McDermott was calling the game a little bit gimmicky, a little bit with the trick plays, having Josh Allen run it 11 times. I thought it was a little unnecessary. So I don't like the kind of play calling Sean McDermott's kind of working with here. It kind of seems like he thinks, oh, I'm in the playoffs, like everybody's going to know what we do and stop it so easily, so we have to kind of go a lot with trick plays. No, it doesn't need to work like that. You're already carving up defenses. Just stick to what you've been doing. And I think Sean McDermott is slowly getting away of what they've kind of been doing throughout the season and is starting to do a lot of trickery, a lot of misdirection, and a lot of plays that really you shouldn't be running, back to back to back. Maybe one here, one a game, but not all these trick plays, not all these rushes with Josh Allen. 11 rushes, and he did fumble once, and he got on top of it. He got it back, but still, at the end of the day, it could have been a turnover, and that's what happens when we see Josh Allen with a ton of rushes. He likes to fight for the extra yards. He doesn't like to go down. He likes to, try to, hit the home run ball. That's what he's trying to do. So I would kind of cut out a lot of these runs here by Josh Allen. Just keep it up. Just pocket passing by Josh Allen. If you have a move out of the pocket, that's fine. He can obviously use his legs as a weapon. I mean, all these rushes by Josh Allen weren't designed quarterback runs, but still, it was a lot of trickery there, kind of, especially in the first couple of drives that took them a second to get going offensively, but. So I would like the Bills to kind of stick away from the trickery next week when they have to face Baltimore, because that's going to be a hell of a game. It's going to be tough for them. All right, so as we said, Josh Allen, leading rusher, 11 carries, 54 yards. He did rush for a touchdown. Very well done. But then you got Devin Singletary with 3 carries for 21 yards, and Zach Moss with 7 carries for 21 yards. So 10 carries by running backs when you have Josh Allen, throwing the ball 35 times. Let's start, establishing the run a little bit more. So that was that. All right, Stefan Diggs, leading receiver by Buffalo. Did anybody not think Stefan Diggs would not be the leading receiver for the Bills playoff game? Come on. 6 receptions, 129 yards, 1 touchdown. And then you got Gabriel Davis here. 4 carries, 85 yards. Cole Beasley, 7 carries, 57 yards. So spreading the ball around to his weapons, and you love to see that. So Josh Allen had an absolutely fantastic day. Didn't turn the ball over. Some absolutely beautiful passing touchdowns. He had the rushing touchdown. And at the end of the day, they win the game. They go up, 14 points, pretty much a big lead. The defense of the Bills did not really give up anything. They gave up 10 points through 4 quarters. That's pretty darn good. Yes, they kind of got gashed on some big plays down the stretch in the fourth quarter, but they can definitely clean that up. Let's not be too alarming on this Bills team. It's just the Bills defense. They played a great game, but that fourth quarter is just something sparked for the Colts, that their run game was able to kind of pick up a big chunk plays, and it kind of, kept the Bills defense off balance. And that's why, Phillip Rivers was able to kind of sling the ball around in the fourth quarter a little bit. So, Bills, nothing to worry about. Josh Allen's fine. The defense, they just got, beat in the fourth quarter. But, by some of these other defenses that we've seen this week, this is the best that, the Bills could do. They got beat, but they still won the game. We've seen defenses, Washington's defense get beat and actually lose the game. So, we'll see what happens with the Bills next week. They got a tough opponent in the Ravens. We'll talk about the Ravens in a second when we get to the game. But, man, oh, man. At least they're at home. At least the Bills are at home for that Ravens game because they are definitely going to need every advantage they can have against that Lamar Jackson running team. Alrighty, now let's go to the 4 o'clock game on Saturday. Rams and Seahawks, and the Seahawks offense flounders once more. How truly unfortunate. I mean, Russell Wilson, 11 of 27? 11 of 27. That's not even 50% completion. Oh my goodness, and you're definitely not winning a game when you're completing 11 passes. Well, I shouldn't say that because Jared Goff, he completed 9 passes, and he won the game. So the running game, the defense was the main story of these teams, of this game. The quarterbacks really were just game managers, and Russell Wilson was turning the ball over, so he wasn't being a true game manager here. 11 of 27, 174 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Let's see when his pick came. And it was a pick 6. Look at this. In the second quarter. Down 6-3, and he throws a pick 6, giving the Rams a 10-point lead. Now, luckily for Russell Wilson, he cleaned up his own mistake. After the pick 6, he goes down on a nice 5-play, 79-yard drive and just hits DK Metcalf for 51 yards. So let's watch this play real quick. This is what you wanted to see in this game. You wanted to see Russell Wilson go to DK Metcalf. We finally got it here, kind of late in the second quarter. This could have been the turnaround of the game, but unfortunately it wasn't. It was just kind of a blown assignment defensively for the Rams. They weren't giving up all these plays. So, I forget what we said, how many yards that Russell Wilson had, but let's take off 51 of them. Let's take off 51 of them and talk about it. Now, great job by DK Metcalf being a great wide receiver, knowing nothing's open and getting open because, you saw Russell Wilson, kind of struggling there to buy time in the pocket. So well done by DK Metcalf to get behind the defense. But, at the end of the day, that's just a big one-play hitter. So, I mean, Russell Wilson, 174 yards. You take off 50. That man threw 120 yards for the entire game. It's just the Seahawks offense. They got exposed midway through the season. They were fantastic in the first, 7-8 games. And then as soon as DK Metcalf started to get big and every team started to shut him down, the Seahawks couldn't do anything. So truly unfortunate here. I don't know what the Seahawks do for next season. You got to do something. I mean, maybe get a new offensive coordinator, but this Seahawks offense was very, very pathetic. They could not do anything all game. The running game, here we go. Chris Carson, 15 carries, 77 yards. Not bad. That's pretty decent. That's, about average, maybe a little bit above average for an entire game. So well done. Russell Wilson, 4 carries for 50 yards. So nothing, just kind of him doing classic Russell Wilson things. Oh, nothing's open. I can run for the first. That's 10 yards, 4 carries, 50 yards, basically 10 a carry. So him doing what he does, but, then we get Carlos Hyde, 4 carries, 5 yards. So that obviously didn't do anything. Now we look at who Russell Wilson was throwing to. DK Metcalf, 5 receptions, 96 yards. You take off, 50 yards. You're looking at 4 receptions for about 40 yards in the grand scheme of things. He did have 2 touchdowns, trying to do what he does best. Unfortunately, just wasn't consistent throughout the entire game. Tyler Lockett, 2 carries for 45 yards. Yeah, 45 yards. So, I mean, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf were still getting targets. I mean, DK Metcalf was targeted 11 times. Tyler Lockett was targeted 4 times. So, I mean, he was still going to his weapons, but, they weren't getting open. The Rams defense is fantastic. Jalen Ramsey was still kind of locking them down consistently throughout the game. So, Seahawks offense, man, something's got to happen. It's got to change because that huge 180 that they took in the middle of the season, they haven't been good. This offense has not been good or reliable for literally the past 8 weeks, and it's truly unfortunate because Russell Wilson's a great quarterback, a great story, and he's got some great weapons in DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. So truly unfortunate for the Seahawks. Now let's switch over to the Rams. I mean, this was supposed to be John Walford versus Russell Wilson, but John Walford gets knocked out of the game, I think on the first drive. Either first or second drive. The man only went 3 of 6. He only attempted 6 passes. So then Jared Goff comes in, and then look at this, man. 9 of 19. 9 of 19. These are not too good. I mean, I guess we can, praise it on the defense, because this Rams defense is good, and this Seahawks defense is good as well. It's just the offenses could not, do anything productive throughout the entire game against these good, strong defenses. So Jared Goff goes 9 of 19 for 155 yards, 1 touchdown. And then, the main thing for the Rams here was their running game. Cam Akers, 20 big carries for 131 yards and a touchdown. So basically almost outperformed Jared Goff himself. So that's another reason why the Rams had success. Also having success by picking off Russell Wilson, getting 6 points that way, creating, decently short fields. Not, extraordinary short fields, but decently short fields. Let's see what we can get here. Where these Rams were starting at. Starting at their own 28 on the first drive, that's nothing special. Starting on their own 20, nothing too special there. Starting on their own 41, now that's good, but they had a punt on that drive. Starting on their own 25, they get a field goal. Own 25 touchdown. So I guess, and now here we go in the second half, on their own 41-yard line, punt. On their own 20-yard line, they punt. So I guess they didn't even have decent field position. It was just that pick six that really kind of changed the game for them in the running attack, just being very consistent throughout the entire game by, doing 131 yards. That's fantastic. All right, Jared Goff, leading wide receiver for him was Cooper Kupp, 4 receptions, 78 yards. Love to see that by him. And then Robert Woods, 4 receptions for 48 yards and a touchdown. So him doing his own thing. Jared Goff once again going to his weapons as well. Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. Cooper Kupp a little up in the air if he's going to be able to go next week. Hopefully he is. Hopefully his injury isn't too serious. But, at the end of the day, Jared Goff, are we going to trust him? How is he going to look next week? He's probably going to play. I don't understand why he would not play if he played. He didn't play great. He went 9 of 19, folks. I mean, that's not good. And he also, only had 150-something yards. So nothing great there by Jared Goff. This Rams defense is definitely the only thing that's really keeping them in this playoffs. So we'll see how they work next week. Alrighty, now let's go to Bucs in Washington, and I think Taylor Heinicke just won the starting job for Washington going into next season. Washington, they're 7-9. I believe they're just outside of the top 10 in their draft pick, so they probably won't get a great quarterback if that's the direction they're going to. But the way that Taylor Heinicke played in this game and was clutch and keeping the game close and never got starstruck by Tom Brady, never thought he was getting outcompeted by Tom Brady. So very well done by Taylor Heinicke. And I think Washington, you start him at quarterback next year. Maybe fix something else. Maybe with your first round draft pick, get something else to shore up. Maybe get another wide receiver, an offensive lineman, somebody else on the defense to shore that up. But I think Taylor Heinicke can have a season of being a quarterback for Washington and have success and be kind of that game manager. He was doing very well. So we'll start here with Washington. Taylor Heinicke, 26 of 44 for 306 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Let's see where his pick came from. Came early in this game. First quarter. They were driving a little bit, 2nd and 11 on Tampa Bay's 47-yard line, so a little bit of a drive. And then, unfortunately for for Washington, that interception goes and leads to 7 points by Tampa Bay. They extend the lead up to 9-0. But very well done by Taylor Heinicke, kind of like Russell Wilson. He throws an interception and he gets it right back. So really kind of cancels it out a little bit. Took momentum back away from the Bucs, got that score back. So at the end of the day, a little bit, kind of easy peasy, squash it out, but interception is still an interception, and points given are still points given. So Taylor Heinicke played very well. Let's go to their leading rushers. Taylor Heinicke was their leading rusher, 6 carries, 46 yards. I'm sorry, my contacts are bugging me today. 6 carries, 46 yards, 1 touchdown. Antonio Gibson, 14 carries, 31 yards. Really non-factor. The Bucs were not letting you rush, and that's what we know about the Bucs defense. They can really stop the rush, but in the passing game, they just let Taylor Heinicke throw, 306 yards. So next week, when the Bucs have to go and face the Saints, Drew Brees, They're going to be able to pick apart this Bucs defense. Now, will they be able to stop Alvin Kamara on the ground? Yeah, they'll probably stop him on the ground, but we know Alvin Kamara can catch the ball out of the backfield a little bit. So, this Bucs team is not going to be, favored very heavily in the Saints game, I can tell you. Now, here we go. Let's see who Taylor Heinicke was throwing to. Cam Sims, leading receiver for them, 7 carries, 104 yards, no touchdowns. Terry McLaurin, 6 receptions, 75 yards, no touchdown. And then we get Logan Thomas, 5 receptions, 74 yards, no touchdown. So Taylor Heinicke was spreading the ball around, 3 different receivers with all 70-plus yards. You love to see that. Taylor McLaurin, I'm telling y'all, can really ball. He was really stepping up in this game. I mean, the game kind of got a little bit out of reach for a second there. It was 18-7 going into halftime. Then, after halftime, Washington, Taylor Heinicke leads them on a 47-yard drive, gets a field goal, couple of punts. They get a fumble, shorter field. They're starting on their own 39-yard line, and Taylor Heinicke drives them down for a touchdown, and now it's a two-point game now. Do they go for a 2-point conversion and they don't get it? They do. Unfortunate. Taylor Heinicke passed to Logan Thomas, incomplete. So unfortunate there, just not clutch. That's kind of, what we're taking away. Very, very solid play from Taylor Heinicke, but not clutch. He misses a 2-point conversion here. And then, they trade touchdowns a little bit in the fourth quarter. The Bucs make it a 31-23 game, and Taylor Heinicke has one more chance here, 2 minutes and 50 seconds to go down and drive, get the touchdown, get the 2-point conversion, tie this game up at 31. Unfortunately, Taylor Heinicke not clutch. It comes down to 4th and 21, and they're on their own 40-yard line. So couldn't drive it, couldn't get the clutch drive to go. Unfortunate, but I think Washington would not have put up 23 points if Alex Smith was at quarterback, folks. I don't think he would have been able to do that. So Taylor Heinicke, I think it was the right decision to start him, right decision to play him, and I think going forward, Taylor Heinicke is your number 1 quarterback going into 2021. Alrighty, now let's talk about the Bucs here. Tom Brady had a magnificent game, 22 of 40, 381 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks for the man. Very well done. Cool, calm, collected throughout the entire game. Getting a touchdown in the first quarter. Nothing in the second quarter. Right? No, they get a touchdown in the first quarter, touchdown in the second quarter, touchdown in the third quarter. No, they only get 1 field goal in the third quarter, and they also fumbled this. So not a great third quarter, but then in the fourth quarter, touchdown, field goal on their 2 drives. You love to see it. So Tom Brady, cool, calm, collected throughout the entire game, putting up points really throughout the entire game. That's what you love to see. And Washington puts up 31 huge points, and that's kind of what we figured the Bucs would do. Put up at least 30 points. We know Washington's defense is good, but at the end of the day, there's too many weapons to stop on this Bucs team, and that's exactly what we saw. Because look at the leading rusher here, 19 carries for 93 yards and a touchdown. Now let's go to his wide receivers. Mike Evans, 6 carries, 119 yards. So, I mean, folks, their top running back, basically 100 yards. Their top wide receiver, basically 100 yards. How can you stop that? They couldn't. That's the answer. They could not stop it. So then Cameron Brate's the second leading wide receiver, 4 receptions for 80 yards. Chris Godwin, 5 receptions, 79 yards, 1 touchdown. Antonio Brown, 2 receptions, 49 yards, 1 touchdown. Leonard Fournette, 4 receptions, 39 yards. How can you stop all these pieces? You can't, folks. And Tom Brady was just playing, game manager football. That's all he had to do. He was still missing a couple of throws here. If you look at the completion percentage, it wasn't that great, 22 of 40, which is basically above 50%. It's like 54 maybe. So not great completions percentage wise, but at the end of the day, he was making the plays when he needed to, scored touchdowns when he needed to, and that's something that we can definitely get behind. But this Bucs team next week really has the toughest opponent of the season. I don't think they've beaten them at all this season. I think they lost both of their meetings. So this is going to be the toughest opponent the Bucs have faced all season. The defense is good. Can Tom Brady outduel Drew Brees in the dome, in the Mercedes dome? I don't know if he can. So Good defense here by Washington. Kept, this is exactly what you would want if you're a Washington defense. Hold Tom Brady to like 50% completion percentage, 30 points maximum, and then you have a chance to win the game. And Washington did have the chance to win the game. Unfortunately, Taylor Heineke was just not clutch, but I really loved what he did all game. So that's what we had from Tampa Bay, Washington, and we'll see Tampa Bay next week. Alrighty, Ravens, Titans, and folks, John Harbaugh, he learns from his mistakes, and you love to see it. Remember last year in the playoffs, these two teams faced, and the Titans won. Derrick Henry had a huge game, and we get the infamous quote of Lamar Jackson saying that they didn't game plan for Derrick Henry. Well, they game planned for him this game, and I can guarantee you they did, because look at what Derrick Henry did. He did nothing. So if Derrick Henry does nothing, that means by association, by the transitive property, that Ryan Tannehill did nothing. So that's what you get, 13 points by the Titans. That's what happens when you shut down Derrick Henry. We'll start with the Titans here. Derrick Henry, 18 carries for 40 yards. 40 yards, 2.5 yards a carry. Oh my goodness, I cannot tell you the last time that I saw Derrick Henry only average 2.5 yards a carry. I don't think that may be his worst average carry game of his entire career. I would bet money on that. So he could not get going all game. So very well done by the Ravens defense and the game plan by John Harbaugh to stop the run. You should have done that last season, and you probably would have won the Super Bowl if you did, but you didn't for some odd reason. But at least he's learning from his mistakes, so that we can definitely get behind. So since Derrick Henry struggled, Ryan Tannehill struggles. 18 of 26 for 165 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Let's see where this pick came from. Coming at the end of the game when he has a chance to win or tie. They're down 7. Not really driving, but 2 minutes left. 2nd and 5 on your own 37-yard line, and he just throws a pick. Let's watch it really quickly. Is it his fault? I know it is, but we'll see. Is it his fault? Let's watch it here. Ryan Tannehill over the middle. Oh, it gets tipped at the line, so maybe it wasn't his fault. Let me make sure it gets tipped at the line. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't get picked at the line. We'll see a replay of it here, hopefully. But very well done by the Ravens defense, just being there in the right position. That's what they do. They bend, they don't break, they get turnovers. And that's, I believe that's Marcus Peters, and you can't be challenging that, man. So here we go. We'll get a better look at it here. If it's tipped at the line or if it just kind of sails on him a little bit. It doesn't get tipped. Receiver just kind of falls down a little bit. Ryan Tannehill trying to push the ball down a little bit too much here. I mean, you watch this receiver. This is not really triple coverage, collapsing coverage, man defense, and Marcus Peters just kind of wins that matchup. So trying to test some good corners, and these Ravens have good corners. Can't be testing them all like that. And Ryan Tannehill, pretty good in the first quarter. He had on their first drive, or second drive, I should say, some big plays here, some big passing plays without the run that really kind of sets him up. So very well done to Ryan Tannehill, but he could not contain that kind of level of play throughout the entire game, and that's why they lose. So here we go. What else we got? A.J. Brown doing A.J. Brown things, 6 receptions, 83 yards. I'm sorry, folks. My contacts are bugging. I got to change them after this. But 6 carries for A.J. Brown, 83 yards, 1 touchdown. Fantastic. Unfortunately, they didn't have Corey Davis. I mean, he caught no passes. You're not going to win the game if Corey Davis and A.J. Brown are not your 2 leading wide receivers. That's the game plan. That's the blueprint for the Titans winning. Having Derrick Henry rush for at least 20 carries for at least 100 yards, and then having Ryan Tannehill go about, 57 to 62% completion percentage for basically like 230 yards, while A.J. Brown and Corey Davis both having 100 yards receptions and basically a touchdown each. That's the blueprint for the Titans to win the game. So Ravens shutting down that blueprint. Tannehill not over 200 yards. Derrick Henry's not at 20 carries, not at over 100 yards. Corey Davis not at any yards, not at any touchdown. The only thing that they couldn't stop was A.J. Brown. He had 6 receptions, 83 yards, and a touchdown. That's basically the only part of the blueprint that the Titans worked with. Unfortunate for them. All right, let's now go to the Ravens now, and this is a classic Ravens game. This is what they do. Lamar Jackson, 17 of 24, 179 yards, no touchdown. The pick, not good there. He threw it very early on, and it led to 3 points. The Titans got out to a 10-0 lead. Once again, fantastic by the Ravens to overcome that deficit and really only allow 3 points for the rest of the game. That's shutdown defense right there. So Ravens, fantastic here. Now let's talk about the runners, because that's the only thing you need to talk about when you're talking about the Ravens. They didn't even have Mark Ingram, and they still were able to get it done. So Lamar Jackson, leading rusher, 16 carries for 136 yards and a touchdown. I mean, folks, he almost had more carries than rushes, and then he puts up over basically 300 yards combined. Fantastic work. All right, J.K. Dobbins, that man was having himself a game as well. 9 carries for 43 yards. He scored a touchdown. Gus Edwards, 8 carries, 38 yards, no touchdowns. I mean, folks, we're talking about, 250 yards between the 3 running backs. I should say 3 runners. We're not going to disrespect Lamar Jackson by calling him a running back. I should say runners. My apologies there. I mean, it's just fantastic work what they do. And then Marquis Brown, a game by him. Very well done. I mean, his best game of the season. Not dropping all the passes, getting downfield, getting open. 7 receptions for him, 109 yards. He didn't even score a touchdown. And this is still his best game of the season. Mark Andrews, 4 receptions, 41 yards, and then Patrick Richard, 3 receptions, 26 yards. Unfortunately, Dez Bryant didn't catch anything, no X this game, but we still get possibly a next week because the Ravens won the game. They move on. We took the Ravens -3, 3.5, whatever you locked it in at. They win by 7, so perfect there. It's just this Titans team. I love them. I think they're great. I'm telling you, I really love everything about the Titans, from their coaching staff, the quarterback, the wide receivers, the running back. Everything about this team is very good. They do need to shore up their defense a little bit, and I don't know. Tannehill does have a lower quarterback ceiling, unfortunately. I mean, as we see in all these losses, you can trace it back to Derrick Henry not having a good game, because Ryan Tannehill really, really feeds off of Derrick Henry. The run opens up the pass. And Ryan Tannehill, it's unfortunate, but he's a game manager. And when he's on and when he plays well, he's an above-average game manager at best. But when everything's not going his way, he's just a game manager, and he can't get it done. He makes mistakes at the end of the game. Couldn't do anything. No real sustainable drives. And it's unfortunate because they could not get the running game started. I mean, look at these drives by the Titans in the second half. 6 plays, 20 yards. 7 plays, 36 yards. They settled for a field goal there. 5 plays, 18 yards. They have to punt. And then you get the 6 plays, 16 yards for the interception. While you look at the Ravens drives, we're talking 10 plays, 77 yards, 6 minutes. They went three plays, 5 yards, so they had a 3 and out there. 7 plays, 41 yards. They missed a field goal. 9 plays, 62 yards, another 5-minute drive. So, I mean, they were moving the ball even on their last drive here to really ice the game. All they needed to do was pick up 1 first down, and they pick up 6 plays for 46 yards. So, really, everything was working here for the Ravens here in the second half. Their running game is too good. If you stop one run, they'll come back at you with another run, and they'll come back at you again and again and again and again until it finally works, if it's not working already. So Ravens get the win. Love to see them move on. Now they have to go and face the Bills, and I don't know, man. The Bills, they're good, but this Ravens team, their offense is just something extraordinary, folks. It's magical. It's good. It's consistent. It runs. It passes. It can do whatever it needs to do to win the game. So Ravens-Bills, going to be a really good one. Alrighty, the best game of the week here. Bears and Saints, and Mitch Trubisky gets it done. No, he doesn't get it done. Did anybody think he would get it done? The man put up 3 points the entire game. I'm not talking about his touchdown. I will not acknowledge it. And NFL's really not acknowledging it either. I mean, look at this, folks. How funny is this? when you look at the drive chart and you look at touchdown, they always have the extra point in here on the drive chart. I don't even know if they attempted the extra point. There was 3 seconds left in the game. You still have to attempt the extra point at the end of regulation, but in overtime you don't. But it's funny here that, the NFL didn't even respect Mitch Trubisky to give him an extra point attempt. Didn't even, add it here. So he probably did. Let's see if we can kind of cue this up really quickly. I want to see this extra point attempt because they missed it if it's an extra point, just a 1 point, and they didn't get it if it's a 2 point. But they didn't even kind of put it in the drive chart. They didn't even mention the extra point attempt because everybody's just trying to get out of here at this point. So here we go. The last play, Mitch Trubisky. This is a touchdown. And that's a fantastic catch by Jimmy Graham. Holy moly! This is overthrown and outside. You see Jimmy Graham, just a one-handed catch. They don't even kick the extra point. What a catch here. Mitch Trubisky. This is how Mitch Trubisky gets the MVP because of this touchdown right here. It's not a great throw. It's a great catch. And then they didn't even kick the extra point, folks. I mean, because the NFL was like, oh my goodness, we give this man 7 free points here. So Mitch Trubisky doesn't get it done. We knew this. Come on. We'll start here with the Bears. What did the MVP do? The Nickelodeon most valuable player. 19 of 29 for 199 yards and a touchdown. Basically, right on the level of dink and dunk or not dink and dunk, but he didn't do anything special. He wanted to air it out. 200 yards. Is that airing it out? Because it's not. It's basically dink and dunk. And he had the 1 touchdown pass at the end of the game. I'm not even counting that. I'm not counting that. So no touchdown, no pick. He didn't fumble, but he didn't do it. He didn't do what he needed to do. He didn't go out there and sling the ball around. You couldn't trust him throughout the game, and it's unfortunate. But Mitch Trubisky should not be a quarterback, a starting quarterback. He can back up. I don't care if he backs up. Be a backup, but that's what he is. He's a backup. He's not a starter here. All right, the running game, David Montgomery, 12 carries for 31 yards, so nothing was working for the Bears. They couldn't even open up the run to open up the pass because the Saints had it all locked down. Now, we know the Bears put up 3 points offensively in this game. Mitch Trubisky had basically not even 200 yards passing. So, what can we draw conclusions of? Allen Robinson did not have a good game. Let's see if we're right here. Top receivers, Allen Robinson, 6 receptions for 55 yards. So, yes, that's all you need to see. The running game was not good, and Allen Robinson only had 55 yards. You're not putting up more than 21 points, I can guarantee you that. That's like 3 points. Exactly what they did. 55 yards for Allen Robinson. Leading receiver, Riley Ridley, 2 receptions, 36 yards. Javen Wims, 1 reception, 28 yards. Jimmy Graham, 2 receptions, 25 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, the touchdown, take it away. That was like a 25-yard pass, so he wasn't even going to his safety blanket in the dink and dunk category of Jimmy Graham. So where was he going with the ball? He wasn't airing it out. They weren't going deep on all these passes, and if they were all incomplete because he doesn't even have 200 yards passing, folks. So he gets nothing done. Classic Mitch Trubisky, classic Bears game, classic everything. Bears cannot play. Bears need to get rid of Mitch Trubisky. If you keep him as a starter for another season, it now falls on Matt Nagy. We'll have to start blaming Matt Nagy, but you have to get this man off your roster. The MVP off your roster. Get the MVP off your roster. If you're ever a head coach and you're looking at your roster and you're looking at their accolades, you're like, all right, MVP, he won. All right, he won a Super Bowl. He got to the playoffs. This guy was MVP. The hell is that? Get him off your squad. Somebody's like, oh, it's the Nickelodeon valuable player. The Nickelodeon valuable. Get that man off my team. I don't even want to talk about MVP, folks. Mitch Trubisky. Oh, my goodness. Now let's talk about the Saints. Drew Brees, 28 of 39 for 265 yards. He wasn't slinging the ball either, but he was just doing what he needed to do to win the game. That's the difference between a veteran quarterback who's already won a Super Bowl and Mitch Trubisky, who thinks he's a starter in this league. Just being productive, putting up points, that's all you have to do. Mitch Trubisky can't do that. Drew Brees here, 28 completions for 265 yards. That's dink and dunk. That's not 10 yards of completion, so we count that as dink and dunk. And he had 2 touchdowns. So even while dinking and dunking, he was still putting up the points. And that's what you want to see. I've got no problem with that. Win the game. Win the game however you want to do it. And I'll talk around it, but do it how you do it. And the Drew Brees did it right here. 2 touchdowns. Fantastic. Alvin Kamara, the Bears couldn't stop him either. 23 carries, 99 yards, and a touchdown. Very well done. Let's see who Drew Brees was going to. We get Deontay Harris. Have we heard of him this season? 7 receptions, 83 yards. Then we get Michael Thomas. Love to see that. 5 receptions, 73 yards, and Michael Thomas scoring a touchdown. Back at it, baby. Would he miss like the last 5-6 weeks of the season? And he comes back and instantly have success. Mitch Trubisky can't do that. If Mitch Trubisky was the quarterback for the Saints, Michael Thomas would have no touchdown. Jared Cook, third leading wide receiver for the Saints, 4 receptions, 40 yards. Unfortunately, Emmanuel Sanders, 2 receptions for only 3 yards. Drew Brees, I think, overthrew him on a potential touchdown pass, if I'm remembering correctly. But at the end of the day, he gets it done, and he doesn't turn over the football. So you love to see it. All right. What else do we get? We were right here. We were right. All right. Let's take y'all back. Let's set up the scene. A couple weeks ago, we had a video. This was on the Saints Christmas Day game that we saw, that we acknowledged it. We saw Sean Payton sub out Alvin Kamara, put Taysom Hill in, and they ran the ball, and Taysom Hill gets the touchdown. And it broke the internet because Alvin Kamara did not get the 7 touchdowns that he would have had. So we saw that, and then we started thinking, and then we started to kind of watch some film on some weeks back, and then we saw that this was a design play that Sean Payton wanted to get out on film, and we knew that the alternative of the play would come in the playoffs or the Super Bowl when they needed a score, because they had this play on tape that it was always Taysom Hill to the right, Taysom Hill run to the right, Taysom Hill run to the right, tight formation. Here we go. We got the video pulled up. This is our video here. We're not going to play any sound or anything, but this is the play that we're talking about here. Taysom Hill out on quarterback on the 1 or 2 yard line, bunch formation, and then Taysom Hill run to the right. Run to the right. He did it about 3 different times throughout the season. Here it is. This is the play that we're talking about here. Tight formation, single backfield with the running back to the right of Taysom Hill, and then Taysom Hill gets a direct snap and runs it in for the touchdown. We talked about this, folks. We talked about this December 31st, 2020. That's when we uploaded it. I believe we talked about it the same day. And, this is what we got. So we said that Taysom Hill, Sean Payton, they would run this play in the playoffs or the Super Bowl when they needed a score. And what did we get this week, folks? Well, we got it. We got it. We called it. We got it. Here it is. And now it could even be deeper than this. So we have to kind of preface it with this. So let's bring you to the play. Let's watch the play first. So let's skip this one. And then we'll come back to this play, because Sean Payton can still be playing big brain IQ 4D chess. So, and I'm also a little upset that he brought out this trick play against the Bears. Did you really think you needed to do it against the Bears? So here we go. This is what we get here. Taysom Hill in the huddle. It's on the 2 yard line. It's 14-3. Now let's look at the formation they come out into. Here it is, folks. The formation that we've been talking about. Taysom Hill, tight formation, single back to the right of Taysom Hill on the 2 yard line. So what do you think this play is going to be? A Taysom Hill play to the right. Rush to the right. Direct snap, right? Well, that's what you think it would be. But then Sean Payton, this is where the trickery, the alternative of this play comes in, having wide receivers run routes on this play. So Sean Payton thought they needed a must score here. It was 14-3, really just try and get a touchdown and ice the game. The Bears, in Sean Payton's mind, is thinking, oh, this is an obvious run to the right. We've been watching this film. We know this. In this formation with the single backfield tight formation at the line, Taysom Hill direct snap, run to the right. And that's when they started to do it. And right at the last second, Taysom Hill just pops this one. This is a block and release by a tight end here. Now, the Chicago plays it absolutely fantastically and breaks up the play. Unfortunately for the Bears, it's a flag. And now the Saints get a fresh set of downs with it. So Sean Payton brought out the trick play here that we've been kind of tracking for the last couple of weeks, brings it out here against the Bears. It doesn't work, but it could go even deeper than this, folks. Maybe Sean Payton wants this on film, and I only say this for one reason, because on this second down play, right here. This is the play that sets up the Taysom Hill direct snap, dink off on the block and release by the tight end. Just watch this play. It looks a little weird. It looks a little off. So Drew Brees, Taysom Hill is going to come in motion, and Taysom Hill is going to get the handoff from Drew Brees. Now watch Taysom Hill at the end of this play. Not diving to the end zone, just trying to get to the 1 yard line. Didn't really make an effort to extend the ball when it really kind of seemed like he had 50-50 here against the corner to get to the corner. And we've seen Taysom Hill run it out and lay it out on the line and dive for the end zone and take the hit and take the blow, deliver the hit. We've seen all this by Taysom Hill. So why did he just kind of lackadaisically go out of bounds? This isn't the Taysom Hill I know. So is Sean Payton wanting to set up this play so they get the misdirection of Taysom Hill throwing the ball? Is this going to be a big brain IQ by Sean Payton? And then we get this quick little snippet here. We get this quick little snippet of Drew Brees and Taysom Hill talking right now on this play that goes from Taysom Hill lining up under center, gets the direct snap, and then runs it but passes it off. So I don't know what the heck is going on here. I don't know if Sean Payton is setting up this play for even a bigger trickery down the road in the playoffs. I don't know, man. But this is what we get. It's a little weird. It's a little lackadaisical that Taysom Hill didn't extend the ball. It seemed like Sean Payton wants this play on tape again so they can run a different formation the next time. Everything is still going to the right. So I think Sean Payton's queuing up for some big brain IQ, kind of a trick play, special play in the Super Bowl or, in the next 2 games of the playoffs of this kind of same formation of Taysom Hill, direct snap, going to the right. But I think now we're gearing up for a pass back to the left side, which will be wide open. So that's the new trick play we have to watch out for. Taysom Hill, bunch formation, single back to the right, rolling right, but now throwing back left. That's going to be the play that catches everybody off guard come next 2 weeks or the Super Bowl when Sean Payton gets down to this kind of location again. Alrighty, let's move on to the last game of the day. One of the wildest games of the weekend. I think that's easy to say. Browns, Steelers, and right from the rip. Browns jump on some turnovers and basically win it right from the jump. They win this one right from the jump. The fumble, the bad snap, the high snap. And once again, this goes back to us saying that Big Ben should not have taken the game off last week, week 17. The center took the game off, and Big Ben took the game off. So what happens on the first play of the game? It's a high snap over Big Ben for a touchdown. Big Ben didn't play. Marquis Brown didn't play. The rhythm was off right on one play. That's all we needed to see, but there was more. Then we get an interception by Big Ben. High throw, intercepted easy. Once again, Big Ben not having that rhythm of the receivers. Receivers kind of used to Mason Rudolph now because of week 17. Big Ben didn't play last week, so he's out of game rhythm. Yes, you can do whatever you want in practice, but it's practice. The speed between game time and practice is like 4,000% increase. So, and then now it's 14-0 because Baker Mayfield is cruising along and, doing fantastic on short fields. They're starting on the Pittsburgh 46-yard line. Fantastic short field there. Now it's 14-0. Then they're back to 3-and-out once again. The run game was never established, so they could not even get the 3rd and 1 because Mike Tomlin did not game plan for a run to get that reestablished last week in week 17. So really everything that we said of what the Steelers did wrong in week 17 came back and bit them in the butt in this game. High snap because Marquis Pouncey wasn't playing with Big Ben last week. He wasn't even playing at all. Big Ben overthrows, not accurate throws, leads to interceptions because Big Ben didn't play in week 17. The running game was non-existent once again for the Steelers as we see 11 carries by James Conner for 37 yards and 1 touchdown. That's not good. Now I understand that you got down big, so you really couldn't run the ball, but I mean, on this drive, you're trying to run it 3 straight times and you can't, which leads to another Browns touchdown. So your mistakes ended up leading to more scores. And then we get another pick by Big Ben Roethlisberger, another high throw that's not really uncatchable, but it's a difficult catch to make. And these Steelers wide receivers were already having trouble catching the ball the last 6 weeks. So why are, once again, you not playing Big Ben week 17? You have not earned the game off. And everything that happened to them for a reason, because they sat all their starters on week 17. It's clear as day here, folks. If you really watch the film and what happened in this game and how they got down so big, it's everything because they sat on week 17 the starters. All right, so Big Ben ends up going 47 of 58 for 500 yards, which is absolutely insane, but he needed to because they got down huge, folks. What was it, 28-0 at the end of the first quarter? So, yes, you have to throw the ball every single down now. You have to air it out. You have to try and get some points, go down the field, because you're down 28 points. What other team scored 28 points in the entire game this weekend? Bills scored 27. Rams put up 30 for the entire game. Bucks put up 31 for the entire game. Ravens put up 20. Saints put up 21. And now the Browns put up 28 in one quarter, 48 overall. So Big Ben, yes, he threw for 500 yards, 4 touchdowns, but he also threw for 4 picks like a Jameis Winston. And we know if you play like Jameis Winston, you lose games. I mean, you can't go 1-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, even though you throw 4 touchdowns. You still are throwing 4 interceptions, canceling out all the good you've done. All right, we talked about the running backs. Now let's talk about Juju Smith-Schuster, his quote about the Browns just being the Browns and all the Browns are gray faces and no names. And then he comes out here and he did have a good stat line, 13 carries for 157 yards and a touchdown, but it got going late. He didn't do anything in the first half. He wasn't, catching balls. There was a couple of balls that he just dropped in the first half of this game. He didn't really get started until, I believe, late, maybe second quarter or really after halftime. That's when he caught his touchdown, and that's when he was getting all these yards. But he wasn't being good in the beginning of the game, at the start of the game. That's why they were down 28-0. Deontay Johnson, 11 receptions for 117 yards, no touchdowns. James Washington, 5 receptions for 70 yards and no touchdowns. So it was just kind of Big Ben slinging it here because he had to sling it. Unfortunate. Let's go to the Browns now because Baker Mayfield and company had a fantastic game. The offense was working. The defense was working. Everything was working here for the Browns, and you love to see it with all the COVID news and the coaches switcheroo. I mean, the last time we saw a coach switcheroo was the Lions on, was it Thanksgiving or, Christmas? The day after Christmas when they faced the Bucks, and the Bucks absolutely stomped them, and the Lions literally could not do anything. The Browns here, I mean, they were just like nothing happened. Like no coaches were missing. So Baker Mayfield, 21 of 34 for 263 yards with 3 touchdowns, no picks, no fumbles, absolutely magnificent by the man. Played a flawless game. The running backs were, piling it on. Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, 18 carries for 76 yards, no touchdowns. And then Kareem Hunt, 8 carries for 46 yards and 2 touchdowns. Once again, Kareem Hunt being that kind of leader in the beginning of the game, getting that offense jump-started, the long runs, the big runs, the 2 touchdowns. I mean, the Steelers could not stop anything. The Browns kind of focused the run a lot in the first half, just to kind of maintain that big lead. Let kind of Baker Mayfield open it up a little bit in the second half just to kind of keep pace because the Steelers were throwing the ball a lot. They kind of had to keep pace with that, and Baker Mayfield played great. He played absolutely fantastic. Leading wide receiver here for the Browns, Jarvis Landry, 5 receptions, 92 yards, touchdown. Nick Chubb, 4 receptions, 69 yards, touchdown. Austin Hooper, 7 receptions, 46 yards, touchdown. Rashard Higgins, 2 receptions, 28 yards, no touchdown. So this man was slinging it around to all of his weapons. Nick Chubb, Jarvis Landry, Austin Hooper, tight end, running back, wide receiver. It doesn't matter. Baker Mayfield was giving the ball to everybody. This is a huge sign of the Browns. And now Remember the last time we saw the Browns get out to a huge lead against the Titans earlier in the season, and then in the second half they really didn't do anything and almost kind of blew the lead? Well, this is a perfect sign for the Browns because they put up 28 points in the first quarter. They still put up 7 points in the second quarter. Then they went and put up no points in the third quarter, but the fourth quarter they got back on track, touchdown, 2 field goals, really icing the game. That's something that they didn't do against the Titans. Baker Mayfield fumbles, makes it a 7-point game at the end of the day. So Browns really kind of held on to that big lead. They didn't really flounder at the end of the game. They were playing to the fourth quarter. It worked. Everything was great. They were putting up points in the fourth quarter to maintain the lead and not let it slip away. So perfect sign for the Browns. Baker Mayfield played good. The running backs played good. The coaching staff coached very well. They got out big, and they kept that lead. They kept the momentum. They kept the pressure on the Steelers to keep scoring after scoring after scoring, because the Browns were like, if you're scoring a touchdown, we're getting some points too. Whether it be a touchdown or a field goal, we have to keep pace with them, and that's what they did this game. So Browns, fantastic. I mean, Baker Mayfield impressed me probably. Did Baker Mayfield impress me the most out of anybody this week? Yes. Yes. That's really it. He played better than Phillip Rivers. He played better than Josh Allen. He played better than both of these quarterbacks for the Rams and Seahawks easily. He played better than Tom Brady. He played better than Taylor Heineke. He played better than Lamar Jackson. Maybe not that much. But he played better than Ryan Tannehill. He played better than Big Ben. He played better than Drew Brees. He played definitely better than Mitch Trubisky. So yeah, Baker Mayfield not floundering the lead, securing the lead, being that game manager that he just needed to be this game, because the fumble and the 2 rushing touchdowns kind of right off the rip. This is a 21-0 game. Baker Mayfield, just kind of take it easy. Don't turn over the ball. And that's exactly what he did. Alrighty, let's quickly do our moneymaker for today. We've got a college championship game today, baby. Come on. Ohio State, Alabama. Let's see what the line is. Here we go. And this one's come up. Wow. I think it started at Ohio State -7 or +7.5, and now it's Ohio State +9, Alabama -9. Alrighty, Justin Fields looking really good. Absolutely kind of destroyed Clemson, and he played fantastic. I think he threw 4 touchdowns and didn't even throw an interception that game. So he played very well. Alabama's been great all season. But I think this is going to be a close game. I mean, Ohio State was getting +7.5 against Clemson last week. I mean, and they won outright. Now here they face Alabama. Justin Fields is playing good. Both these teams have had, 2 weeks to prepare for this game. And we're going to take the points here. We're going to go Ohio State +9.5. We're going to trust Justin Fields here. I know Alabama's wide receiver is fantastic. The quarterback's fantastic. I'm blanking on the quarterback's name. But the wide receiver, Heisman winner, Devontae Smith, hopefully future Dolphin. We can hope with that 3rd overall pick. But, we're going to take Ohio State +9 points here. National championship game. Ohio State, played way better than I thought they would. I didn't even think Justin Fields was capable of playing that well against a good opponent, but he blew out my expectations out of the water. So we're going to ride with him here this week with the 9 points. Now, there is something I do want to bring up. This was pointed out to me by a fan, so shout out this fan. If you are listening and you know this story, then congratulations to you. So let's take it back to last week. So we're going to be looking at Vegas's odds and ESPN's odds. So last week, Ohio State was 7.5-point underdogs. They were +7.5. But ESPN's predictability calculator, I'm forgetting the official name of it, but their college kind of predictor app, it had that Ohio State was going to beat Clemson, having a 50.4% chance of winning, while Clemson had a 49.6% chance of winning. So Vegas thought Ohio State was underdogs, while ESPN thought they were favorites. Now, this week, once again, Vegas thinks Ohio State is underdogs, but so does the ESPN app, and they think Alabama has a 63 or 64% chance of winning this game, whereas last week, as we just said, ESPN thought that Ohio State had a 50.4% chance. They think Ohio State's not even going to have basically a 40% chance to win this game. So ESPN called it right last week. They think that this game's going to be big Alabama. Vegas had it wrong last week, and they think it's going to be Alabama big this week too with the -9. So all that being said, we're still taking Ohio State +9. I just kind of want to add that anecdote in there. That ESPN, their predictability app could be pretty good. I mean, if Alabama comes out here and absolutely blows out Ohio State, then we're going to have to take ESPN predictability app as the gospel, folks, because they called it last week, and if they call it this week, well, who knows? So. But we're going to take the points here. Well, let's take the 9. Competitive game, good game to watch, good game to kind of tune in and just watch, especially all the playoff football that we just watched this weekend. A really great end here for the national championship game. And I believe this kicks off at 8 o'clock, so make sure you're watching that. But Ohio State +9. The odds, you basically just double your money. So whatever you bet, 500, you win 455. 1,000, you'll win 900, 890. Is that right? 910, you win 910. So basically just doubling your money, whatever you bet, since it's a single team play. Alrighty, that is going to do it for us today. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. We'll be back tomorrow, right at, like we are always, noon Eastern every single day. We'll be breaking down the playoff games a little bit more, probably watch a little bit more in-depth film, and, go from there. Get us ready for this week's playoff games. We went 4-2 in our picks. Well, we went 3-2-1. 3 picks that we hit on, all on Sunday actually. Saints -10, Browns +6, and Ravens -3.5. We hit all those on Sunday, and then on Saturday we missed Bills -6.5 by 3 points. Unfortunate there. We missed. We were totally wrong about the Seattle. We had them -3. They lose outright, and then Bucks -8. They win by 8. So we push there. So 3-2-1 in our official picks this week. We're gonna be looking to hit them all next week. All right, so that's gonna do it. We're out of here. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow, folks.